स्टूडेंट्स आज हम पेज 11, 12 और 13 को जो है वो स्टडी करेंगे। इससे पहले कि हम स्टार्ट कर ले आज का लेक्चर, आप लोग पेज 11 पे आ जाए। ओपन योर बुक्स एंड कम ऑन पेज 11 प्लीज। And today our topic of discussion is doing a scientific investigation. And at the end of the lecture, you will be able to introduce different steps involved in scientific investigation and to enable to the students to understand and follow the required step during experiment. So this is our today's objective, and I hope so that at the end of the lecture, you will be able to explain all these terms. Now, first of all, what is a scientific investigation? What does it mean, scientific investigation? Scientific investigation is basically the investigation that will define methods through which a problem is identified, relevant data or information is gathered, and got conclusion after minute experiments. Scientific investigation is basically the scientific information that can be gathered from different experiments or from different observations, investigations, and you can get some data from all the experiments or observations. So that is what's so called scientific investigation. That is so called the term scientific investigation. Now, the scientific investigation involves three major steps. Okay, so the first step is preparation, that is hypothesis, variables, and fair test. Hypothesis means that you can collect data about the experiment or the things that you can be experimented. Okay, so that is what's so called hypothesis. Variable, which sort of variables are using there, that you can change the values of those variables, and at the end you can get the required results. So there are so called variables. And fair test, that is so called experiment. At the end of the hypothesis and variable, you should perform your experiment, and that will give you the required numerical values. Now, the second step is carrying out investigation. That is appropriate equipment, that your equipment must be appropriate up to the mark, that cannot be too old. You can use some valuable tools there. Okay, and recording data, you should record your data according to your values, or with the passage of your experiment, you should record your data. So all these are the investigation that can be carried out throughout your experiment or your scientific investigation. And the last step is reviewing and reporting. At the end of your experiments, you can write the steps of your experiments that you perform there. Okay, and at the end, you should write the conclusions, that whether your observation will be quite familiar with that of the experiments, or your observation will be quite different to that of your experimental data, or your analysis are quite different from that of your experiments, or your analysis will be quite matched to your experimental data. So all these are the steps of scientific investigation. Basically, scientific investigation have three basic steps. First one is preparation, the second one is carrying out investigation, and the third one is reviewing and reporting. साइंटिफिक इन्वेस्टिगेशन में हमारे पास बेसिकली तीन स्टेप्स होते हैं। पहले स्टेप में हम क्या करते हैं, प्रिपरेशन करते हैं, अपने आप को तैयार करते हैं। ठीक है, किस लिए, एक्सपेरिमेंट के लिए। ठीक है, इसमें हम क्या करते हैं कि पहले जिस चीज को हमने एक्सपेरिमेंटल प्रूव करना होता है, तो उसको जो है हम क्या करते हैं, उसके लिए हम इंफॉर्मेशन गैदर करते हैं, इंफॉर्मेशन को हम इकट्ठा करते हैं उसके लिए। फिर उसके बाद हम वेरिएबल्स पे जाते हैं कि हमारे पास कौन से ऐसे वेरिएबल हम इस्तेमाल करेंगे जिससे हमारा जो एक्सपेरिमेंटल वर्क है वो आसानी से जो है और इजीली जो है वो परफॉर्म हो सके, और हमारे वैल्यूज जो है वो अप टू द मार्क आ जाए। तीसरे में हम फिर फेयर टेस्ट की तरफ जाते हैं। फेयर टेस्ट क्या होता है, बेसिकली आपका एक्सपेरिमेंट होता है। ठीक है, कि आप उसके बाद जो है वो एक्सपेरिमेंट पे जाते हैं, पहले आप उसके बारे में इंफॉर्मेशन कलेक्ट करते हैं, फिर वेरिएबल्स पे जाते हैं, उसके बाद जो है फिर आप एक्सपेरिमेंट पे जाते हैं। दूसरे स्टेप में क्या करते हैं कि कैरिंग आउट इन्वेस्टिगेशन, इन्वेस्टिगेशन पे जाते हैं, अप्रोप्रिएट इक्विपमेंट आप इस्तेमाल करते हैं। ठीक है, अप्रोप्रिएट इक्विपमेंट जो है उसको आप यूज कर रहे होते हैं अपने साइंटिफिक वर्क में। ठीक है, कि आपके जो इक्विपमेंट है कि आप कौन कौन से इक्विपमेंट जो है आप वहां पे यूज करेंगे। एंड रिकॉर्डिंग डेटा, और साथ साथ आप जो है अपने डेटा को क्या कर रहे होते हैं, रिकॉर्ड कर रहे होते हैं, अपने साथ नोट कर रहे होते हैं, ठीक है, कि इन स्टेप पे चल के जो है आपने जो है मतलूबा एक्सपेरिमेंट परफॉर्म किया है, और उससे आपने जो डेटा हासिल किया है उसकी ये जो है यानी ये उसकी जो है आप कह सकते हैं कि उसके रिजल्ट्स हैं। आखिर में आप रिव्यू करते हैं और उसके बाद आप रिपोर्ट को लिखते हैं, ठीक है, जो स्टेप्स आपने लिखे होते हैं ड्यूरिंग योर एक्सपेरिमेंट, ठीक है, एक्सपेरिमेंट के दौरान में जो स्टेप्स आपने लिखे होते हैं उसको आप मैच करते हैं किसके साथ, अपने हाइपोथेसिस के साथ, ठीक है, और हाइपोथेसिस मैच करने के बाद आप लोग ये अंदाजा लगाते हैं कि आप इस कंक्लूजन पे आते हैं कि वेदर योर एक्सपेरिमेंट इज अप टू द मार्क और नॉट, ओके, यानी आपका जो एक्सपेरिमेंट है वो आप लोगों ने सही किया है या नहीं किया है, ठीक है, यानी आपके एक्सपेरिमेंटल वैल्यूज जो है वो आपके जो हाइपोथेसिस है उसके साथ मैच कर रहे हैं या नहीं कर रहे हैं। तो ये सारे जो है ये आप जो है साइंटिफिक इन्वेस्टिगेशन में से हासिल कर सकते हैं। Important to know that a preparation is a hypothesis. What is hypothesis? It is an idea or prediction that you can test to study an experiment. Wild guess. Okay, this is what so called wild guess. It can be proved wrong or right. सबसे पहले आप लोग क्या करते हैं कि किसी भी चीज के बारे में जो है अपना मफरूजा जो है वो पेश करते हैं कि आया ये जो हम एक्सपेरिमेंट करने जाते हैं इसके ये नताइज हो सकते हैं, ये रिजल्ट्स इसके हो सकते हैं। फिर आपका एक्सपेरिमेंट उसको जो है वो क्लेरिफाई करता है कि वेदर योर एक्सपेरिमेंट इज अप टू द मार्क और नॉट, ओके, योर एक्सपेरिमेंट इज आइडियल देयर और नॉट। तो उसको हम हाइपोथेसिस कहते हैं। फॉर एग्जांपल अगर हम कह ले कि sugar dissolves more quickly in hot water than cold water, it's a statement. So this is what so called a hypothesis. ये हमारे hypothesis है कि शुगर जो है वो डिजॉल्व करता है हॉट वाटर में ज्यादा एज कम्पेयर टू कोल्ड वाटर, ठीक है, कोल्ड वाटर में कम करता है और हॉट वाटर में जो है वो ज्यादा करता है। सो दिस इज व्हाट सो कॉल्ड अ हाइपोथेसिस, दिस इज द स्टेटमेंट दैट यू वांट टू प्रूव, okay, so this is so called a hypothesis. Now we will move towards the variable. Variables are any factors in experiments that can affect the results, that you can change those factors, and with the help of those factors, your experimental values are also changed. So that is what's so called variables. For example, in this experiment, you can see that in this experiment, amount of sugar is a variable. If you should control the amount of sugar by adding or removing, or you should increase or decrease the amount of sugar. So this is what so called the variable. Amount of water, you should increase or decrease the amount of water there. So it's also a variable, and you should increase and decrease the temperature also. Okay, so that is what so called third variable. So here in this hypothesis, or in this experiment, or in this statement, there are three basic uh, variables that can be used. Okay, and fair test, for fair test, you should control the variable each time. You must remember one thing, that at each and every time you should deal only with one variable. You should deal only one variable at a time. You should not deal more than one variable at a time. Okay, otherwise your experimental values will be quite disturbing. So for fair test, you must deal with variable each and every time, and that should be one. Okay, each and every variable you should control accordingly. This is your book page 11. Okay, doing a scientific investigation. So a scientific investigation has three main parts. Suppose you want to find out if sugar dissolves more quickly in hot water than in cold water. So the three parts of the investigation are as follows. Okay, so the first one is preparation. Preparation depends upon the hypothesis that you collect information about the experiment, and then you should go towards the variables. Variables are things that can change and can usually be measured or observed. Okay, so that is what so called variables. You should only change one variable at a time and see how it affects other variables. And then you should go towards the experiment, that is what so called fair test. Okay, so these are the variables that are that can be used here in this experiment: the amount of sugar, amount of water, and temperature of the water. So come towards the experiment. For a fair test, you must use the same amount of sugar each and every time. Okay, your amount of sugar could be same in each and every time. Okay, so The second thing is use the same amount of water. Amount of sugar should be same. Amount of water should be same, and stir at the same speed at each time. And the combination or the moment of your stirring, the solution will be at the same speed at each time. Okay, it will not be sometimes you should stir it fast and sometimes you should stir it slowly, so that will affect your results also. So you can think, or you can control one thing also, that you can stir at the same speed in each and every time you can stir the solution. Carrying out the investigation. So this involves using the equipment you have chose to measure things like distance, time, weight, area, volume, and temperature accurately. In this investigation, you will need to measure the volume of the sugar, volume of the water temperature, and the time taken for the sugar to dissolve. Okay. So this is the chart, or this is the table that will show you, or that will gives you information about your experiment, that at 20 degrees centigrade the amount of solution, or the amount of the sugar that can be dissolved in the water solution takes 80 seconds. Okay. Now, if you increase the temperature of the water, that is, you should move from 20 to 30 degrees centigrade, then you can observe that the dissolving time will be reducing. Okay. You can see here that 52 seconds will take the water to dissolve all the amount of sugar there. At 40 degrees centigrade, you can see there that 36 seconds will be required for dissolving all the amount of sugar there. And at 50 degrees centigrade, 26 seconds will taken by the solution to dissolve. And at 60 degrees centigrade, 20 seconds will take the solution to dissolve all the sugar. So this is the chart you can see here, and you can think one thing from this table, that if the temperature will be decreased, then the time will be increased. Okay, it means that both of them will be inversely proportional to each other. If temperature will be increasing order, then time will be in decreasing order. You can see here, if you increase the temperature, then you can see here in this table that the time taken for mm, uh, the time taken for the dissolving the sugar in water is reducing error. Okay, you can see here. Now we will move towards the third point, the third thing, that is what so called reviewing and reporting on the investigation. Okay, this involves writing up what you did and what happens during your investigation, including diagram of your apparatus for this investigation. Plotting a graph is a good way to show if you are reading follow a pattern. You can see here, this is the graph, okay, and it will give you information about your experiment that you perform. Initially, at 80 degrees centigrade, it will take 20 seconds. Okay, so 80 here you should meet the 80 points and you should meet the 20 points. This point will give you the information about that procedure. And then you should take some other points, that is at 30 degrees centigrade. It will take around about 52 seconds, and then you should see the rest of the points. And if you meet these points, then you should get a line graph. Okay, this is what so called a line graph. This is what so called a line graph. Okay, so this graph will give you information about your experiment that you performed earlier. And this experiment, or this graph already shows you that this decline, the decline of this line gives you that both of them were inversely proportional to each other. It means that if the temperature will be raised there, then the time should be lesser. And if the temperature should be in reducing order, then you can see here that it will take much more time to dissolve the same amount of sugar. So in this graph, you can see here that both the temperature and amount of dissolving water, or time taken to dissolve water, are quite inversely proportional to each other. And then last point is explaining your results and saying whether your hypothesis was correct or not. So in this case, the hypothesis is correct. Sugar does uh, dissolve more quickly as compared to cold water. So this is called our conclusions, and it is what you can find out as a result of your investigation. Suggestions you have, how you could improve your investigation to make it more accurate. For example, you can measure the volume of the sugars more accurately with a measuring cylinder. And suggestion what you could do if you had more time. For example, you may like to find out if you will get the same result with different kinds of sugar. So you should change the kind of the sugar as well there in your experiment. For example, if once you use the white sugar, so in next experiment you use the brown sugar. And you should also control the variables like the amount of the sugar by using some measuring cylinder there. And you should also change the temperature of the water. You should boil the water and you should increase the temperature of the water. It will give you some other values, and that will also give you information about the conclusions. So different variables are there. You can change each of them, and hope so that your result will be quite different at dealing with each and every variable. So will you get the same results with different kinds of sugar? Then you should experiment this thing and then tell me that whether your experiment will be, the results of your experiment will be quite the same or not. Now come towards page 14. Okay, those students who are not fill these multiple choice questions, so they should come on page 14, and I will give you idea about these multiple choice questions, and you should do these. Multiple choice questions. The three main areas of the studies in science are biology, chemistry, and geology, biology, chemistry, and physics, biology, geology, and pharmacy, and chemistry, pharmacy, and physics. So the right option is uh, the second one, B, biology, chemistry, and physics. Okay, so this is the correct option. You can circle this option, or you can lock this option. Which area of science is the study of the living world around us? Which area of science is the study of living world around us? Okay, so which area covers the living world? So the correct option is A. Okay, biology is the area of science that covers the living world around us. You should lock A. Now come towards the third statement. Why should you wear safety goggles during practical science lessons? So the options are, so people will know you are a scientist, to protect your eyes from damage, to shade your eyes from sunlight, you will look good in them. So the correct option will be B, because the googles will protect your eyes from damaging. Okay, so B is the correct answer, and you should lock B option. Okay, to protect your eyes from damage. Which of these is a measurement of length? Centimeters, cubic centimeters, centiliters, and square centimeters. So option A is the correct one, centimeter, because it is used for length. The second one is used for volume. The third one is also used. The third one is also used for volume, and the fourth one is used for area. So A is the correct option. Okay, you should circle A, or you should lock A. Now come towards the last point. The volume of an object can be found by multiplying its breadth by its height and dividing by its length, length by its breadth and dividing by its height, length by its breadth by its height, and length by its height and dividing by its breadth. So C is the correct option. Length by its breadth by its height. All the three variables will be multiplied with each other, and it will give you the information. It will give you the volume of an object. So you should lock C option. Okay. Length by its breadth by its height. So these are your multiple choice questions, and these are your answers. I hope so that you understand these things and you mark all of them. Now come towards the true false statements. Come towards the true false statements on page 14. The first statement is chemistry is the study of the physical world around us. Chemistry is the study of the physical world around us. So it's a false statement because biology is the study of the physical world around us. Physics is the study of the physical world around us. So it's a false statement. I'm sorry, once again, that physics is the study of the physical world around us. The second statement is, as scientists get older, they no longer have to bother about working safely. So it's a false statement because they will be more conscious about their scientific world. So it's also a false statement. The third one is your senses are of no use during a scientific investigation. No, you must use your senses, your sense of touch, your sense of seeing, your sense of hearing, okay, and your sense of touch also. So it's a false statement. All the three statements are false. Now come towards the fourth statement, that the mass of an object can be found by weighing it. Yes, the mass can be found by weighing it. Okay, so it's a true statement. And the last one is degree Celsius and degree centigrades are the same things. Yes, they have the same things. So this is all about your exercise. Now come towards the assignment. You can do book exercise on page 15. Okay, this is your today's assignment. Okay, book exercise page 15. And in our upcoming lecture, we will discuss workbook exercise. And if you have any question, you can ask now. You should unmute yourself and you should ask. If anybody have any questions, so he should ask, please. Yes, anybody have any questions, so he should ask, please.
सर ये बुक के ऑनलाइन कहाँ से हम पेमेंट कर सकते हैं?
जी बेटा,
बुक की सर जो बुक लेनी है कुछ कहाँ से ऑनलाइन पेमेंट करें?
बुक्स लेने हैं आपने?
यस सर।